At the beginning of Genshin Impact, 4 stars were the heroes for low spending or free-to-play accounts, and very often even the optimal choice for whales. Well, one of those things is still true. Unfortunately, it's the last one. 4 stars have been getting less and less free-to-play and low spender friendly with every single passing patch. And although myself and many other creators consistently make videos addressing this massive problem, Genshin has absolutely refused to do anything about this. So here we are. Let's talk about the 4-star problem once again. Welcome to Jello Impact, where we build and test every single character to help you decide who you want to wish for and build. Playing Genshin Impact. Oh, I need to charge my phone. Luckily, I have the coolest Genshin Impact collaboration product that I have ever seen. This is the Ugreen and Genshin Impact series, the Keqing Fast Charging Adventure Kit. This limited edition product features a huge 20,000 milliamp battery with 3 charging ports, one of them being 100 watts. And with it, I can charge my laptop, phone, and controller, Switch, or Steam Deck all at the same time. It also has a beautiful Qi 2 magnetic wireless charger with 15-watt charging for iPhones. We also have a 65-watt charger that can also charge 3 devices at once. And finally, we have a Keqing pop socket, a AHAU cable, as well as some other awesome goodies in this very premium product. Make sure to check it out in the links below for a discount up to 30% off, and make sure to join the giveaway for total prizes worth $13,000. Thank you for Ugreen for sponsoring this video, and thank you for checking out the link. It really helps out the channel. The new 4-star Yansan is releasing tonight, and she is looking like one of the best 4 stars that we have had in a really long time, and is looking like potentially a top meta character, at least with C6. Where have you heard that one before? And I bet she tempts and tricks and teases tons of people out of a lot of savings or real money. Genshin Impact is my favorite game, and I love a great many things about it, but it still has its fair share of problems, and the 4-star problem is the biggest one, in my opinion, that's still in the game. Let me tell you why. The first reason is the odds for getting a specific 4-star is actually 1 in 38 pulls. You see, there are 3 characters that are rate ups on the banner, but you are not guaranteed to get one of those 3 characters. There is a 50-50 system in place for the on-banner 4-star characters. You have a 50% chance of getting an on banner and 50% chance of getting an off banner, whether that would be a different 4-star or a 4-star weapon. You are very much most likely going to get a 4-star on the 8th, 9th, or 10th pull, but you can get early 4-stars, which averages things out to 1 in 38. That means C6, which is 7 copies of a 4-star, takes an average of 266 pulls. That's a lot of Primogem. And you might think to yourself, well, I can always get them from the standard banner. You have a 50% chance of getting a 4-star from the standard banner, and there are over 40 4-stars in the game, meaning your odds of getting a specific 4-star from the standard banner or from an off rate up on the limited banner is 1 in 80. Such a low odds that I don't think it's really worth considering. You may be tempted to think, well, I have been playing forever and I've never had a problem getting old 4-stars especially. That's not true for people who started especially Sumeru or later, which is 3 years ago by now. Almost, or more. It's a long time. And for newish players, or just players that have not been playing since the beginning, all 4-stars are the same. Xingqiu showing up on a banner is just as rare as Chevreuse. But it's not just the limited 4-star odds we have to look at. We have to compare it to the odds of getting a limited 5-star, because a lot of people talk about 4-stars being free-to-play friendly. Well, let's talk about the limited 5-stars. Your odds of getting one are just under 100 pulls. They used to be just over, but with capturing Radiance, the overall odds for getting a limited 5-star are just under 100. This means you're most likely to get nearly a Constellation 2 of a limited 5-star by the time you get a Constellation 6 4-star. Because it's just under 100 pulls, it does work out to just under C2. It's not quite, but it's closer to C2 than it is to C1. You could also look at that as if you plan on going hard for a C6 4-star, you're potentially giving up pulls that could have got you 3 different limited 5-stars. And yes, many 4-stars are usable before C6. Maybe they only need their C4. Maybe they don't even need their C4. But there are a number of great 4-stars, including Yansan, that get a massive Constellation boost from their Constellation 6, Janssen also getting a big one at C4, and a number of 4 stars that are almost unusable. And a lot of the early 4-star constellations are really good as well. Characters like Xingqiu, Fischl get a massive power spike from their Constellation 6, and those ones are also really difficult to get for new players. But it's not just the odds of the 4-star that are bad, and it's not just the comparison against 5 stars that make them even worse. It's also the odds of a 4-star actually being on a banner that you want to wish on. By the way, if you're enjoying these honest commentary videos, please subscribe. We're almost at 100,000 subscribers. I always make videos talking about exactly what I actually think, whether I think you will disagree or not. So if you like that, please subscribe. We're almost at 100,000 subscribers, so every single one helps a lot. I was wrong. There is not 41, there's 44 4-stars in the game, which make the odds of a specific 4-star being on a specific banner just over 7% on average. It's going to take an average of 285 plus days to see a specific 4-star on any banner. Many 4-stars will take over a year to rerun. There is no way of getting most 4-stars onto your account except for them appearing on a banner. Yes, there's a few free 4-stars here and there. Yes, there's the Lantern Rite for leeway ones, and yes, there's the Star Glitter shop. But most of those are unreliable or impossible for a good number of the 4-stars, and even the value of the Star Glitter shop is rather questionable. 7 pulls for one 4-star constellation means that it's 49 pulls, at least a value of 49 pulls for a C6 4-star. You're not getting anything else with that. Whereas when you put 49 pulls onto a limited banner, you're getting closer to a 5-star, and you're also getting other 4-stars and 4-star weapons, which are important for your account. Finally, the elephant in the room. It's pretty darn clear that Genshin specifically crafts banners to avoid putting the 4-stars that you want on them. Sure, sometimes things happen and banners end up being very good, but a good number of the times, Genshin will wait until a 5-star is outdated to actually put good 4-stars on them, or they will only put one good 4-star with a good banner, or they'll do what they're doing now and they'll put the great generalist character Ayansan with fairly niche pulls like Shanyun and Varessa, who are obviously very cool characters, but a lot of people aren't interested in Shanyun and Varessa. They're fairly niche banners, but they'll bait a lot of people to wish on them by putting Ayansan on there. The same was done with Chevreuse. Chevreuse could have been put on the original Arlecchino or Clorand banners, but of course they didn't do that. They put her on the Yoimiya and Raiden rerun banners that had already rerun multiple times. They could put Chevreuse on the Varessa banner, but will they do that? Something tells me that they won't, but I hope I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, that would be awesome, because Varessa really wants Chevreuse. No, they waited until Clorand rerun and Arlecchino rerun to put Chevreuse on those banners, even though they should have been on those banners to start with, especially Clorand, as she is what makes Clorand a competitive DPS. So what's the conclusion? You cannot plan to get high Constellation 4-stars without being a high spender. I'll change this to very many, because yes, you can really save up if you're maining a character that really needs a high Constellation 4-star, like Varessa needs Yansan, like Clorand needs Chevreuse, and arguably Yansan. That's the problem. That's like even more of a problem, is that characters like Varessa and Clorand want both a high Constellation Yansan and Chevreuse. Insane that that's a thing. And I do recommend that dedicated mains do this. I do recommend that if you're a Xiao main, that you really work hard to save up for C6 Faruzan. I really recommend you saving up for C6 Chevreuse for your Clorand, even though 4-stars are extremely evil and it's so hard to do that. I really do recommend you do that. But for most players, if you just want to try out a 5-star DPS, if you just want variety in your account, if you want to try out a bunch of different DPSs, C6 is just not realistic for newer free-to-play or low spenders, regardless of whether that's an old or new 4-star. Even if you count the Star Glitter shop, it still only reruns each unit twice a year. Very, very slow. There's also a huge 4-star weapon problem. Siphos Moonlight, Wandering Evenstar are often recommended as go-to free-to-play options for Keqing mains calcs, but these are basically impossible to obtain unless you're a high spender. The odds are even worse for weapons than they are for characters, as there's 5 weapons on each banner instead of 3, and they rerun just as infrequently. Really bad. What should we change as players? Well, as players and creators, we should be very careful about recommending 4 stars that are reliant on C6. You shouldn't just assume that everyone has Constellation 6 Xingqiu. And I feel like people are mostly pretty good about this for newer 4 stars, but I feel like a lot of people just assume Constellation 6 Fischl. People just assume Constellation 6 Xingqiu. You see tons of calcs about how good Yansan is, but almost nobody is going to get a Constellation 6 Yansan at least until her next rerun, if not one after that. I realized firsthand how much of a problem this was when I had Constellation 6 Chevreuse to use with my Chlorand, and I was like, Chlorand is so good, falling on absolute crickets because nobody else had Constellation 6 Chevreuse. And I realized I was like 1 in 100 people who actually had a Constellation 6 Chevreuse until Chlorand reran, and then I could finally say, hey, Chlorand mains, now's your chance to get Constellation 6 Chevreuse. And then what happened? So many people not only went, if they did go for Chlorand, well, first of all, not a lot of people went for Chlorand, but if they did, a lot of them got C1 or C2 by the time they got Constellation 6 Chevreuse. Some people still didn't get Constellation 6 Chevreuse, and I realized the absolute state of the 4-star problem in this game. Sure, there are some things that we can do. As creators, we can be careful about recommending 4 stars that are C6, lean more to recommend 5 stars at Constellation 0, and if you main someone that needs a C6 4-star, commit hard to them, but be careful who you commit towards. Commit hard, don't commit often. Don't main too many characters, or don't try and get too many C6 4-stars. Don't try and snipe too many 4-stars. Commit hard to the ones that really need it, and maybe considering going for a C0 Yelan and not even bothering with Constellations of Xingqiu, for example. If you don't have a C6 Fischl, don't worry about going for that. Just use your C2 Ororon. And then, of course, we need a solution from Genshin. We need an epitomized path for 4 stars. We need Paimon's Shop for everyone. And maybe something like reducing the odds of getting a certain 4-star if they're already at C6. I think any and all of these changes are needed and would go a long way to addressing the 4-star problem. Maybe more pick your own 4-star events much more often and with much more variety. So that is the situation. Tell me if you agree. I definitely agree. Once again, make sure to check out the Kenichi U-Green product down below. It is an incredible collaboration, and it really helps out the channel. And if you don't want to do any of that, that is totally fine. Just watching the video has been more than enough. Thanks so much. Bye for now.